Have you been thinking, how can I silence that inner critic? And is there a way that I can use something to release my negative self-talk? If you've been thinking about that, wondering, then this episode is for you because I'm going to be talking with Cora Naylor about the emotion code. Hello, lovely dynamic women, and welcome to the Dynamic Women podcast. I am Diane Rolston, your host, and today we get to hear from Cora Naylor talking about how to silence your inner critic using the emotion code to release negative self-talk. And let's give it up for Cora Naylor. Woo! Hey, Cora.
Hey.
I'm so excited that we get to talk about silencing your inner critic using the emotion code to release negative self-talk. Maybe my limiting beliefs or my saboteur was trying to stop me from saying it properly. Why don't you start off, Cora? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I would say about me, I'm an ever-evolving business owner, entrepreneur, a mom of 31 years with some twin boys, and I'm soon to be married for 37 years.
Wow. Congratulations. We could almost do a talk on how to stay married for 37 years.
Yeah, that's another show.
Is it?
I don't know.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, I am an emotion code practitioner and a life coach. And I just love helping other women because for me, it's been a super long journey figuring out what do I want to do when I grow up. After my kids graduated and moved out of the house, it was like, what's next for me?
Exactly. Yeah. Now, emotion code, what inspired you to become an emotion code practitioner?
Yeah, I know. It was just one of those things as I was going through and trying to figure out what did I want to do. Over the years, I've done a lot of different kinds of jobs, different kinds of businesses, traditional jobs, and never really had the success I really wanted. So I had to kind of really take a look at what was going on and know that it was within myself. I had a chance meeting with somebody who was an emotion code practitioner, did some sessions with her and was really intrigued by it. And I thought, you know what, that might be something that I could use for myself.
Yeah, isn't it? I really like when people have actually experienced what they end up doing, because then they know how to be a student of it or a learner of it and how to appreciate being on that side. Now, some people might not know what emotion code even is and how it works. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a process for releasing negative trapped emotions. So as we go through life and we go through events, if we don't process the emotions, and most of us have not been trained to do any of that stuff, these emotions trap inside our body like little balls of energy. And Dr. Bradley Nelson, who developed the emotion code, figures the average person has about 200 or 300 trapped emotions. For most people, maybe not a big deal. But if you're trying to do something outside of your comfort zone, that's when things start to come up.
Yeah. I'm really curious about, I'm going to throw this one at you. Are you able to do the emotion code on yourself? Or do you need a practitioner to do it on you?
No, that's one of the cool things about it. And one of the reasons that I actually got into it is because you actually don't even need to remember the events that were associated to find out in order to release them. Because I know for myself, a lot of my baggage from when I was a kid, I didn't remember. And I had a block, so I couldn't get past them because, I couldn't even remember what they were. Yeah. But you can do it on yourself. And a lot of modalities you can't. And that's one of the things I love. Like I actually do work on myself every day. It's not always something that's a one and done. Sometimes you have to keep going through the layers of the onion.
Peel it back until you get to the core of it and then can work on it. So good. So what type of issues do you find that the emotion code is really useful for?
There's so many things. Often, it can be pain. A lot of times it's things that you think you're going to the doctor for, but they can't figure out what it is. So it might actually have an emotional component to it. So sometimes pain is partly emotional, partly physical, a lot of fears, anxieties, all of our negative self-talk things, all of that stuff has that emotional component to it.
Huh.
Yeah.
So maybe you can give a few examples of what are some things that some people have come to you for and you've cleared for them.
Yes. One lady, actually, another part of it is we have those emotions. We can also have heart walls. So the emotions trap around our heart and can block us from relationships. And we can have different kinds of heart walls, like ones with ourself, with the world in general, with our business, with specific people. And so one of the ladies, I released her heart wall with money. And the next weekend, she did writing workshops. And the following weekend, she had the most paying clients that she'd ever had at that workshop. So sometimes it just works like that.
Wow. The most paying clients at that next workshop. That's great. That's so good. Now, I have a bunch of more questions, but I also wanted to throw it out there. If anyone has any and you would really like to hear them, answers to it, please pop it in. Next is, what are some signs? Because people are like, oh, maybe I need this, maybe I don't, maybe I'm okay. So what are some signs that someone's emotions are actually like getting in the way and blocking them?
Well, I know for myself, it was just not doing things. Like I've done a ton of different kinds of trainings over the years, I've done different kinds of coaching programs, all that stuff, but wasn't following through and implementing or doing the work. So I knew there was something deeper within that needed to be done, to be dealt with. And it was the emotions. There's just so many different ones. There's a chart that has all the emotions. Dr. Brad invented a chart with 60 negative emotions on it. And so what you do is, whatever your issues are, you, like, say if I was doing a session with you, for example, I would connect to your subconscious using muscle testing. So if people are not familiar with muscle testing, you can look that up on YouTube. I do a method called the ring method. So my fingers are locked. And when I'm asking a question, if it's a yes, it stays tight. And if it's a no, it just kind of slips through. Yeah. And so I can ask your subconscious which emotions are involved and check it on the chart to see what they are. And then we swipe them away using a magnet. And we just literally swipe it over our head 3 times. And that goes over the governing meridian and dissipates the energy. Wow. And what could you, like, you've got a list of 60 negative emotions. I know we don't want to hang out in negativity. Nope. We don't want to talk about it and all that, but I think it's important that people know, like, what are some of the negative emotions that could be coming up for them? Yeah, all kinds of things. Anger, worry, anxiety is actually an emotion. Unsupported, effort unreceived, all those kind of things. And what's interesting, sometimes when I'm doing the work, I need to know more information about it so we can check and see how old you were when the emotion was trapped. And I don't need to know the story around what it was, but sometimes when we find out the age, it'll ring a bell for you to know what the event was, and then we can release that emotion. And so could it be that the same negative emotion was there maybe when we were 7 and then 15 and then 21, and so do you have to go through all of them? Well, every time you have an emotion trapped, it's trapped with a specific event. So you can have the same emotion trapped numerous times for different events. And what I've been finding with the people that I'm working with is we all have sort of a few key ones that come up over and over again. So for different events, but a lot of her stuff that comes up for business women, I find, is prior to age 10. Stuff that's happened when we were kids or prenatal or inherited. And so what are those things causing these business owners to do or not do? Well, not doing so. How many times do you hear women saying, oh, I need to do videos. I want to get out and do videos online. I'm not doing it. okay, there's some emotion there. Let's, release that so you can
Yeah.
get out and be your confident self doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah. That's funny because a lot of times business owners come to me and they're wanting business consulting and strategy and all this. And then they'll go, why are we talking about my feelings? So I'm sure that's where this comes up for you, is like, we have to do this because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got to figure that out so we can get on with life because,
Mm,
it's never too late to get this going. I mean, I'm going to be 60 years old this year, still figuring out what I'm doing, but it's never too late to
yeah.
shift and do it and figure it out. There's some way to help you no matter what.
Yes. Yes. Now, maybe people listening right now know of that voice that's in their head. The voice that's like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, or whatever negative self-talk comes up. Is this a way to release the negative self-talk as well? Or how does emotion code fit in with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Often that negative self-talk stuff is the emotion of self-abuse. So self-abuse is, saying those words that you're not worthy, I don't know enough, I don't have the training, I don't have this or that. So what you can actually do, because anyone can learn how to do the emotion code. You can read the book, The Emotion Code, and learn the basics of doing it in there. So, and you can do it on yourself, other people, or even on animals. So if you're in that situation where you're talking to yourself and you're not being very nice, because we never say those things to other people, but we'll say them to ourselves. Grab a magnet, and it can be any kind of magnet, even a magnet off the fridge, and just set that intention that you want to release that negative self-talk, and then swipe it over your head 3 times. You can do it more if you want to too, if it's really bad. It's not going to hurt. And
does a bigger magnet help better than a smaller magnet?
Not necessarily. No. Yeah.
Wow.
But that would just be a thing to get you through the next thing. There might be more to it because it's not always just one thing, but that's one thing you can do in the moment that can just release that.
To be able to silence that inner critic.
Yeah.
Wow. Now we have people listening here, and Barbara says, such important work, Cora. Jane says, lineage baggage. And Carla says, I've had some amazing breakthroughs since Cora released some emotions for me. So maybe now's a good time. Let's drop the gift. What's your gift, Cora?
I think I did my co-working sessions. I think that's what we were talking about.
There it is.
Book a call. There we go. Okay, that's what I can't even remember.
Well, and then I have to ask you, maybe it is your co-working sessions for VIPs then. I don't know. What do you want to do?
We can do the call. Sorry, I've been in a couple of things and I can't remember what I'm doing anymore.
That's okay.
Obviously, I need to release some emotions for, memory.
It's okay. No problem. So we can, people can book a call with you. So can you tell us like what that call looks like? What happens on it?
Yeah, we can book a call. You come with 1 or 2 things that you want to work on. Good. And like I said, it can be something to do with your business or a personal, and we'll do a session and release some emotions. We could do a heart wall, or we can release a heart wall with a specific person. Yeah.
Cool. Now, when we go to that link, it brings up Co-working Wednesdays with Cora Naylor. So what I'm guessing is people are gonna do that one-on-one in that session with you.
I think we might have to do a different link because that is for my co-working session.
No problem. We will put up a different link. We will get that to everyone shortly. Now, you talked about heart wall. I was wondering, what is a heart wall? And I'm glad she asked because that was my thought too.
Yeah. A heart wall is whenever, you go through life, we have relationships maybe that don't work or whatever, the emotion actually builds up around your heart and creates a wall. And so often we don't have the relationships that we want with people, or you know how women can go out with that same guy over and over again. They've got that wall going on because their subconscious is trying to protect them from another relationship, but they just can't get the right relationship because they keep going out with the same person. So we can release
Mm.
the heart wall and then things can open up. So, for example, I recently worked with a client who hadn't talked to her dad for a long time.
Well,
And we released the heart wall with her dad, and he called her. And now they talk to each other all the time.
wow.
Yeah.
I love hearing when you give specific examples because I think it helps me anyway, and probably helps listeners to know like, oh, okay, that's how it comes in. Because for a lot of people, they understand coaching or counseling
Yeah.
or other types of consulting, other types of sessions. And so, can you give us a couple other examples of what how you've worked with people or what results they've been able to have? And at the same time, if those listening do have other questions, please pop it into the chat.
Yeah. And I do like that you brought up that, counseling and coaching, because I've done all that too. And
Yeah.
everyone has its place. But the nice thing about this is that you don't have to remember what happened, and I don't need to know your
Yes.
backstory. And you don't, like you said, you don't have to remember it, and we can still do the work. So that part's really cool.
Mm.
And often the emotions that come up are nothing to do with whatever you're doing. So, for example, I recently worked with a lady who was really freaking out because she had some dental surgery coming up and she was really
Oh,
anxious about that.
yeah.
And when we released the emotions around it, it was actually some stuff that happened with her dad when she was a kid. So
Oh,
it's just that the thing that you're going through now is the event that triggers something from your past that may or may not be related.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's said is Dana says emotion code is very effective and powerful. I love it. Exclamation point. And
Mm.
no re-traumatizing necessary. And then Barbara said, I really don't want to relive things. Just drop the emotional energy of it. So it's
Yes.
like that the fast way to kind of just get rid of it, be done with it.
Yeah. Yes. Might be a little bit of processing, but you don't have to relive the event to
Yeah.
release it. That's the
Wow.
awesome part.
Yeah, especially if you've blocked it out. Now
Yeah.
I want to switch gears for a moment because um you have an interesting life
Hmm.
and you've done some cool things recently, and I don't think I've interviewed you at all about that part of your life now. So I would love to talk about that, and then we'll jump to your
Hmm.
final thoughts.
Sure.
So you have a bit of a nomadic life now, so maybe
Yeah.
share a little bit about that, because as you said, with your age, I think a lot of people think life needs to be is going to be boring, or life's going to be a certain way or limited at a certain age. And I love what you're doing, so please share a little bit more.
Yes. So this was the first year that my husband and I did the snowbird thing. So, we normally live just outside Vancouver. And
Yeah.
this year we went to Mexico. We did the Baja and lived down there for just over 5 months. And we drove there from Vancouver. So just so you know, it's about a 28-hour drive. So it's
Ooh,
not like a quick drive to get there.
yeah.
We wanted to bring our dog, and and
Aw.
you need a vehicle while you're there because where we were staying was a small fishing village and
Ah,
there's nothing there really. You can't easily
gotcha.
get there by any other means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
other than maybe what I see as the obvious of being better climate,
yeah.
what other things had like drew you to go there?
Well, we just wanted to have a blue sky every day in the winter. That was the
Okay.
main reason. But we were both still working. My husband's still working a little bit too. He's getting ready for retirement. But I want something to do to feel purposeful in those days too. Like I'm
Yeah.
not ready to retire. I feel like I'm kind of just getting started.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna be 60 this year, and it's like,
Mhm.
it's time to do something for me. But also, while we were there, I think we were the only people that were working. So I'm looking at all these people and think, what do people do when they're retired? Like, what do you do all day? Because we're designing our life so that we can do the
Yeah.
best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And, um, you know, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing something else, but I want to feel of service to other people too.
Yeah, exactly. And that ability to still live your passions and support other people. And so I'm going to ask what could be maybe a vulnerable question of, did you have to do any emotional code on yourself before changing this lifestyle and moving down there for part of the year?
I wouldn't necessarily say for that part of it, but for my
Mm,
business, I do. And I actually do something that I don't know of that other people are doing. But one of the things I do for the emotion code for myself is every day I get up and see what's on my schedule. And I check if I have any heart walls or potential emotional blocks with people I'm meeting today, or speaking that I'm doing, or networking events that I'm going to, and clear that before the event.
Yeah. And so I'm guessing this, like, maybe some trepidation, some hesitation, some worry, fear, anxiety, all these different negative emotions that could come up.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And since doing that, I've had really interesting collaborations that come up, different kinds of relationships. It's been really interesting.
Wow. It's great to see what Ruth Ann is sharing here. I'm knocking on the door of 80 and still going to office every day, hoping to create something of value to others. And I see that's what you're doing, Cora. And I love seeing women who just continue to live their passions and their truth. Especially, once the kids are gone, you have teenage boys, not teenage boys, you have twin boys, but not teenagers anymore. And you've done that part, and now you get to really live into this next part. If you knew the emotion code earlier, how would that have changed your life when you were younger?
Oh my gosh, I keep saying that. I keep saying that. I wish I knew it when my kids were young. My king, I keep telling people is, wouldn't it be amazing if before high school, when you got out, you could have some financial training and get your emotions released? Imagine what it would be like for kids. Because I know when my kids were in high school, almost every girl that they knew was on antidepressants.
Wow.
Because no one deals with that stuff. So wouldn't that be great? And wouldn't it be great? You could give this book to your kid and a magnet and say, oh, if you don't want to talk about your stuff, check it out, like how much anxiety could be released. And they can do it themselves. They don't have to go tell somebody about it.
That's awesome. So good. So for everyone that's here, you are going to be able to get a one-on-one session with Cora. We're going to make sure that you get the link so that you can have that. So Cora, as we wrap up here, what are your final thoughts to everyone?
Just if you have something you want to do and you're passionate about it and you're not doing what you know that you need to do, get help. There are so many avenues that you can do, whether it's the emotion code or some other healing, coaching, whatever you need. Don't just keep taking the next course, the next course, the next course. Trust me, been there. Doesn't always work.
Yeah. Yes. Permission to get the support. Amazing. Thank you so much, Cora, for being here. I appreciate it. It's always great to hear what you're up to. And I thank you for the gifts and for dropping all your wisdom with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being part of the Dynamic Women podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And so now's the time, if you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. If you have a suggestion for a guest, please reach out to my team at the email team@dianerolston.com. And if you haven't yet, share with a friend and write us a review. When you write us a review, please make sure you take a screenshot, email that over to team@dianerolston.com with your mailing address so we can send you a little something special in the mail. All the best. Until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.